I'm Rabbi Barry Axler, and on
Oh,
behalf
1 minute,
of,
Barry.
oh, okay.
When it goes away.
Oh, when it goes away, okay. And shalom, everyone. I'm Rabbi Barry Axler, and on behalf of Yad Sarah, the largest volunteer organization in Israel, and an organization that offers a wide range of solutions to meet some of the most critical needs in Israeli society, from elder care to home health, to medical equipment loans, to advocating for disability rights, to bringing help and hope to all of Israel's people. I welcome you to today's very important seminar on the role of philanthropy in these disturbing times of the pandemic, of protests, of economic recession, and of much more. You know, to me, one of the most important verses in the Siddur, in the prayer book, and also the last line for the traditional grace after meals, is Adoshem Oz le'amo yitain, Adoshem yivarech et amo b'shalom. May God grant strength to his people, and may God bless his people with peace. In other words, before Israel can ever think about peace, can ever have peace, she must be strong. She must have strength. And that strength comes in two forms: in the external, in the security of Israel, in the IDF, and in the internal, in the economic, in the social, in the health well-being of all of its people. And that's where philanthropy comes in. It plays a crucial role. And to guide us through our session today, we have three expert and distinguished guest panelists. And they're activists in the Jewish community, and they're philanthropists, and I'd like to introduce them to you now. Stanley Weinstein is active in the Miami Jewish community, where he sits on the Greater Miami Jewish Federation's Executive Committee and the Coronavirus Task Force. He chairs the Israel and Overseas Committee, is a member of the JCRC board, is on the National Council of AIPAC, is chair of the Miami Beach Pro-Israel Network, and has chaired the OU Israel Committee. He and his wife, Lenore, are proud parents of 3 and grandparents of 13, soon to be 14th, right after Simchat Torah, who all live in Israel. Stan has a law degree and has an accounting background, but his main thrust has been in the real estate, as a real estate entrepreneur. And finally, Stan Weinstein, to me, is the ultimate frontline soldier in the war of Jewish survival. Following Stan, we have Amy Holtz. Amy is the founder and CEO of Traction Specialists and is a professional ESO implementer, helping aspiring entrepreneurs define and realize their visions. Amy equips entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and philanthropists with simple, practical, and effective tools to help them expand their ventures, strengthen their cores, gain traction, and build healthy and cohesive teams. Since 2009, Amy has served as Chief Executive Officer of the Mosaic United and as President of Open Door Media, formerly known as the Jerusalem.U. Amy is co-founder of the Jewish Future Pledge, a worldwide movement working to ensure that vibrant life continues for generations to come. She's a passionate advocate for Israel and the Jewish people, and Amy was named one of the Jerusalem Post's 50 most influential Jews in 2016. And I know her thoughts today will have a great influence on all of us. And third, we have Dr. Jonathan Doneth. Jonathan is the director of dailygiving.org, which he co-founded in 2019. Daily Giving's mission is to enable every Jew to easily perform the mitzvah of tzedakah every day and to disperse those funds to deserving Jewish nonprofit organizations around the world on a daily basis. Daily Giving is run 100% by volunteers. Jonathan owns and runs the Westchester Spinal Decompression Center in White Plains, New York, where they specialize in cutting-edge non-surgical treatments for severe neck and back pain. In 2015, his book, The Neck and Back Pain Solution, was published. And I believe Jonathan gives new meaning to the fact that we are indeed a stiff-necked people. He lives with his wife, Meira, and children, Eitan and Talia, in White Plains, New York. Welcome, Stanley, Amy, and Jonathan. And I might want to add that for those listening, you'll have the opportunity towards the end of our broadcast to ask your own questions of the panelists through the Q&A button on your computer screen. So Stanley, let me begin with you. This is the first time that I know that there is the same crisis here in the United States and Israel at the same time. How do you balance those needs when the resources may be limited?
It's a very difficult question, but understand tzedakah begins at home, but Israel is home, so it's a balancing act. Kol Yisrael arivim ze lazeh. Everybody in Israel is responsible for one another. And when I'm speaking Miami Federation, we operate a year from July through June. But we have made the decision this year to keep the same amount of dollars that previous year to Israel and over to local needs. That doesn't mean we're not going to make additional grants for either INO or local needs, but we're still keeping, because we have to make sure institutions, whether in Israel or locally, are able to survive. We have a caveat that we're going to re-examine this in December based upon what our actual fundraising has been. But I don't believe there will be a change.
Okay, Amy, do you have anything to add to that, to what Stanley said?
No, I think that is, I think that's perfect.
Good.
Well, thank you, Amy.
Jonathan, let me continue with you. How have you found the pandemic has affected philanthropic giving in the Jewish community in general? And what are nonprofits, in your opinion, doing to change through your observations from dailygiving.org?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's an honor to be with these distinguished other panelists, so I appreciate you having me. To answer your question, I think that the pandemic, I think, has affected nonprofits significantly across the spectrum. And I would venture to say most not in a very positive way. Interestingly enough, dailygiving.org has actually surged recently because I think that what we're doing is we're trying to, our platform enables all Jews to give tzedakah on a daily basis, just $1 a day. So it could be that on the one hand, people feel that they can't give their usual bigger gifts, but they like the idea of being able to give $1 a day. And when combined, all our dollars have significant impact. And so that could be one reason why we've pretty much our subscriptions have doubled in the last about 45 to 60 days. Also, I think that there's been no synagogues open for the last few months, and people are used to giving tzedakah when they go to their shuls, and they haven't been open. So I think it's probably a unique situation. I have a feeling the other panelists have not had the same situation that we've been under, that more people have joined and more people have really been excited about daily giving over the last few months. But I know, speaking because we give to 42, daily giving gives out all the money to 42 different organizations. And I speak to the heads of these organizations frequently, and across the board, I mean, they're really, really suffering. So it's been a difficult time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Stan, from your perspective, both at the Miami Jewish Federation, National AIPAC Council, the OU, what are you finding is in the front mind of the donors today?
Well, philanthropic giving has definitely changed. There are certain people that you just can't approach, especially I see down here, people in the real estate business just don't know what's going to happen.
And that's your
People
business.
I'm sorry?
And that's your business.
Yes, that's my previous life.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get out. People are concerned about their well-being. Do they still have a job? Income. What has happened to their investments? And we've had ups and downs in the market and what we're seeing, and we just don't know. But I put together a little slide presentation. Meira, can you put it up, to talk about Federation and how it's approaching it, because I think it's very unique. Meira, the first slide. Nope, the other one. The first one I sent you. Oh, just waiting a second, but
Okay.
Federation has a tagline. This exists. There it is, thank you. Federation is the, what should I say, the central place for gift giving, both for local community and for overseas. Next slide. Whoop. Nope, in the same thing, Meira, there's a slide 2. Yes, okay. So what we've done is we have to create content. We've created over 6 videos letting people know that we're here to help. Our biggest concern are the people in our community. But we always follow at the end of this. If you are able to donate, go to our Federation COVID-19 website. We have had over 5,000 views of these videos, which is phenomenal when our mailing list is only 50,000. We've also changed our website and have a special sub-website just for COVID-19, which tells the story, and we have new stories of post-COVID-19 of what is happening here in my overseas. And our increase to our website over last year has increased over 50%. Next slide. Okay.
We're coming on. Okay.
Okay. Nope, the one before this. Okay, it's targeted emails. We have 50,000 people that we send an email to. We have created over 60 different targeted emails. The open rate has increased from last year of 13% to over 59% this year, which is just phenomenal from anybody in the business. In addition, we send out a Federation 5 once a week, which always has about Israel. Next slide. We've promoted all of this through social media, both with Facebook and with Instagram, both organic when somebody shares something on their Facebook page and paid campaign sponsored posts. We've done over 25 different social media campaigns, and this has pushed our communication out to everybody. But it's both from a dual perspective. One, how can we help you? And if you are in a position, how can you help us and those in need in our community?
Okay, thank you, Stan. Amy, through your involvement as a co-founder of the Jewish Future Pledge, can you explain just a little bit about what Jewish Future Pledge is and how are you raising money during the pandemic, if at all?
Okay, thank you so much. Stanley, great work. That was amazing work. So the Jewish Future Pledge, what's going on is we need new solutions. And what's happened with COVID is it highlights the importance of planning for the unknown. So the Jewish Future Pledge is a new solution. We're a worldwide movement working to ensure that vibrant Jewish life continues for generations to come. So Miera, if you wouldn't mind sharing the slide on what the opportunity is right now. When the Jewish people built the state of Israel, we built it on nickels and dimes being put in those J&F pushka boxes. Today, we are living in a golden age, despite what's happening. In the next 25 years, an estimated $68 trillion is going to pass to the next generation. It could be as high as 120 trillion or as low as 40 trillion, depending on what happens in the economy. But either way, it's a lot. Of the 68 trillion, an estimated 6.3 trillion has been allocated to charity. We believe that approximately 20% of that money is coming from Jewish donors. Could be a little more, could be a little less, but with 20%, that's 1.26 trillion Jewish dollars being left for charity in the next 25 years. We are saying to people, whatever you're leaving for charity in your estate, leave 50% or more to Jewish causes of the state of Israel, any Jewish cause that you care about. It's an incredible opportunity. So in addition to sharing our dollars, it's not just about money. This is not a billionaires club. We're asking you to share your wisdom, values, and life lessons. If you have so first of all, from the Billionaires Club, if you have $10 to leave for charity or $1 million, give half to Jewish causes of the state of Israel. Then we're saying young kids today, they're confused. They need guidance. Share your wisdom, values, and life lessons with them. This is a time to think about your legacy more than ever before. And the beautiful thing about this is it's sparking tremendous conversations within families. Why do the Jewish people matter? Why should we secure the Jewish future? So it's been incredible. We are not raising money for anything. We are just trying to increase the resources available to all organizations. Everything is funded by Mike and Andrea Levin in Florida. We're just trying to raise awareness and get people to commit.
Well, good luck with it. I mean, it's very important. Amy knows that I believe that the future of Jewish philanthropic giving is in the wills and bequests area, is in the planned giving area, and that's charitable trusts, wills and bequests, and other things. So, good luck with this. Stan, it's kind of a personal question for you and me. You and I both have children and grandchildren who live in Israel. It feels like the restrictions are easing in Israel, yet we know many families are struggling with the after effects: economic uncertainty, unemployment, food insecurity. How do you keep the focus on the greatest needs, and how do you decide what the greatest needs are?
Well, we're very fortunate in Miami that right now the same amount of dollars as last year have been allocated to Israel and overseas and to the local agencies. But within our budget, we have shifted some dollars. What is happening is a problem. And can you put up slide 1, Mira, of the second PDF? Okay, it'll come eventually. But, you know, likewise with us.
Here it is, Stan. It's up.
Good. This is our response. And it's not only us that are making the changes with our dollars, it's the agencies that we give to that are making these changes within them. Our two biggest grants are to the Jewish Agency and the Joint Distribution Committee. And we have sat down and we talked to them and have continued discussion with them on what they are doing to make sure they meet the needs of what is happening. The next slide, please. You don't look like the next slide. You know, it talks about Israel's needs.
Okay.
What it was pre-COVID-19. There were about 13,000 not-for-profit organizations dealing with what was still problems in Israel, you know, with poverty, with the food insecurity, with unemployment. These NGOs are an integral part of Israel. Since COVID-19, a lot of these NGOs have had problems with them. You know, prior to a month ago, there was never a government in Israel, so they couldn't allocate additional monies. Today, they are just getting started. But the first priority of the new government and why we have the unity government is because of COVID-19. You know, but we're going to see, I've been told by the Israeli consulate here, about 39% of the not-for-profit organizations that existed pre-COVID-19 are not going to exist post when we come out of this problem. So that's a problem. People are going to have to take on more to service the needs. So let me talk about what we've been doing specifically in Miami. Next slide, please. You know, we have had allocation of money and additional grants over the monies that we have raised, where we've gone to be able to provide food packages and meals for people. They've been unable to get their basic needs during the pandemic, and especially the older people can't go out of their home. You know, Israel had a total lockdown. We didn't here in the United States. It was stay at home if you're able to, but there it's a total lockdown. So we had to help provide the food packages and meals. Next slide, please. We have a partnership with Yerucham near Beersheba. It's our partnership city. One of the things we're very proud about is our robotics team that we helped found and fund there. What they have been doing is making 3D masks that we're able to take and donate to hospitals, nursing homes, and senior living facilities. Next slide, please. What's very important are the seniors. They being unable to get out of the house. You know, we have partnered together with private industry and have developed a special tablet to be able to give to the sheltered housing, to seniors living on their own. And what we have been doing is we have been providing the content to this. So this is a great way for the philanthropic and to work together. And we're very proud to be able to show this and get the for-profit part of the country working together with the not-for-profit.
Thank you,
Next
Stanley.
slide.
Next slide. Okay.
Yeah, no, we've been doing a lot. We've been providing money. I'm sorry, if it's too much, just cut me off, Barry.
One more, Stan.
Okay, we've been providing loans to NGOs, and we've taken a special money that we have set aside for loans to go to NGOs, to go to Negev, next to loans. Two more and I'll stop. One is our women's Amutot. We're very proud of them. We've been giving money to crisis centers in Israel. And when we generally support program funding, we've said they can use the money for administration to make sure that they will still be in business. And the last thing I want to mention is we're concerned not only with Israel, but Jews around the world. We give a significant amount of money to the elderly in the former Soviet Union and have increased the money. You can show the next slide, the last one, to Brazil for nutrition, because they are having major economic problems and COVID-19 problems. I'm very proud to be able to do this, and I'm sorry it took so long.
That's okay. Kol hakavod, Stanley, to the Miami Jewish Federation. Jonathan, through your own personal and also through daily giving, how has your personal philanthropy changed in the past 2 or 3 months due to the pandemic? And what are you finding people want to give to?
So I get a lot of requests, on our website. So again, we give to 42 different organizations, and we'd like to have a meaningful impact, right? So we've been around since January of 2019. Actually, today we hit $1.5 million that we've raised, both that we've given out already and that we're already slated to give this upcoming year. So we're giving over $25,000 to each of these 42 organizations. Yeah. And what's been interesting is that people have reached out and said, well, can we give to, more emergency funds and this and that? And what's been really interesting is that a lot of our, of the 42 organizations have pivoted, even if their usual mission is not to help in crisis, a lot of them are helping in crisis. So they, especially like in the ones in Israel, Yad Sarah and Migdal Or and United Hatzalah and Magei David Adom and Meir Panim and Leket. They've just done a tremendous job, and I'm probably missing out others that we give to that off the top of my head, but they've just done a tremendous job stepping up. Leket provides so many meals to people in Israel, and other nonprofits depend on Leket for their food to then give out to the poor people, and they've been inundated. And so I know Leket had to raise millions and millions of dollars extra to provide, actually, instead of using meals from weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs that were wasted, that Leket used to rescue and give out to these other organizations to give out. Leket raised millions and millions of dollars to enable them to still continue to get all those people the meals that they need. So I think that it's been interesting to see how organizations have really stepped up. The demand is higher. There's more people who lost their jobs in the last few months that have never needed to request, and now there's more. So it's just amazing to see all these organizations step up in such a big way.
Right. And Amy, following up on that, are you finding that the economics that's going out on there, the stock market rising or falling or other economic problems, businesses closing, are you finding that has an effect on what people are giving, or are people just giving from the heart anyway?
I have found that people fall in 5 major categories of giving. I think the majority are doing some emergency funding for food insecurity, mental health, and I've seen a lot of interest in Holocaust survivors. And then they're supporting their existing grantees by reassuring them and moving up the timing of their donors. I think some have shifted their priorities into social services. I found that about 15 to 20% of philanthropists, it's business as usual. They're not changing when they give their gifts. They're not really shifting their priorities. Some are doing something dramatic, like the Grinspoon Foundation made a huge grant to support Jewish camping. And some are really taking a wait and see approach. I personally believe from the bottom of my heart, my husband is also in real estate, so we don't know what this year is going to look like, but I am committed to giving more this year. I believe that there's just more need, and it's a time we have to step up and do as much as we possibly can.
That's beautiful. Stan, do you have anything to add to that from your perspective as to how people are giving, whether they're giving more or less because of the economic conditions around them?
From what I've seen, it's trying to get the commitments. We're very fortunate in that most of our fundraising has been done prior to COVID-19, but there are still major gifts that make the difference. And if anybody's listening from the Miami community, please follow what Amy said. The fact that they don't know what they're having, but they are going to increase their gift. It is needed now to make sure we have a continued future to be able to make the pledges in the future. And, it's important.
Can I jump? I just want to interrupt for a second. I'm so impressed with Stanley's passion, but I think part of the key to all of this is making sure the next generation cares as much as Stanley does. And we have to all make sure, this is a big piece of the Jewish Future Pledge, that not only are you modeling this incredible behavior of philanthropy, but you're telling your kids, why do the Jewish people matter? Why does the Jewish future matter? Many of these kids, in the Jewish Future Pledge, I speak to so many philanthropists, and many have never really shared why they care with their kids. This is a very important time to step up and share why you care. And if you don't know how to have that conversation, at our website, jewishfuturepledge.org, we have resources that you could share. You could use to create conversations.
Or feel free to call me, because Amy and I have had this discussion, and it is so important, and I think we'll get to a question later that I can elaborate on it.
Absolutely.
Can I add something to that?
Sure, Jonathan.
So, I think what Amy just said is also just so important. It's so difficult. I don't know. I have young children. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and the question is, how do you educate your children on charitable giving? How do you, without, they don't understand the meaning of gifts and how much, they think, they don't, when you say an amount, it's a difficult slot to be in. So something that I think, again, I'm showing off daily giving here, but something that I'm proud of is that some people, including myself, I signed up for $1 a day for everyone in my family. And one of the things that dailygiving.org does is that we send a daily email to all our givers, telling every one of them where their dollars are going that day as a group collectively. So we hopefully will hit $3,000 a day later today. Okay, so today we're giving. Yesterday we gave to Migdal Or, a wonderful organization in Israel that helps orphans and other poor people. Today we're giving to an organization called Misaskim, which helps with those who in after death situations, whether it helps people from all different walks of life with helping the Shiva houses in South Dakota, with this middle of nowhere, or all over. They help in crisis situations that have to do with death and emergency. So our children get these emails every day, and they learn about 42 different charitable organizations. And with daily giving, it's kind of the mutual fund of charities, right? So we have infertility charities, and we have ones for crisis, and we have poverty, and we have for drug abuse, and really across the spectrum, a lot of different charities. And so my kids learn about them. They ask questions because on that daily email, it says what the charity does. It has a link and a blurb. And so people learn about these new charities. And for children, I think it's just a wonderful way. So I just had to plug that because of what Amy said, that I think that it is so important to get young people to give and to teach our children. And so that's one of the unique things I think that dailygiving.org brings, is that we have a 49% open rate. Over 3,000 people get our daily email, and 49% open it every single day to see how much we're giving and who we're giving to. And the amount of I'm on the reply button when they hit reply, and the amount of testimonials we get every day on how good it makes them feel at the end of the day, no matter what they did that day, that they felt they were part of something special, that all these Jews from all different walks of life are coming together to give money, and how $1 can help millions of dollars when we join it together. So I just wanted to bring that up based on what Amy said. Thank you.
I have a question. Can I ask him a question on this?
Absolutely.
I think that's terrific, but I don't know how you handle. It's nice to give the $1 a day. How are the kids involved in deciding how this mutual fund gives the money out?
So the quick answer is that they're not. We're not at that point yet where anyone can just decide. It is a you know, there's a board, there's a board, and there's a council. And so it's not so simple. We don't just add people willy-nilly. We really vet them to make sure that we're giving to really, really fantastic, wonderful organizations like Yad Sarah. You know, we also don't want to be political, right? If someone doesn't like, if we pick the wrong one and someone says, well, I like 41 of them, but I don't like that one, maybe they won't give. So it's a delicate balance. So unfortunately, we can't have people choose yet.
Barry, we're talking about this now. Can I talk about what I do with my children and grandchildren,
Yes,
or you want to wait?
Sure. No, go ahead, Stan. It's
Okay,
very
because it's been brought up now, but you know, begins at the home. And you send your kids to school, hopefully day schools, but it's what is the home environment. And both my parents and my wife's parents have taught us by way of example the importance of tzedakah, but not only with money, with involvement. And I've always told people who are trying to raise money, you get more money when people are involved in your institution than if they just write a check. Writing the first check is the hardest, and it's very important, but get them involved. And they've always had us involved with what we're doing, and to speak up and how to invest. And, you know, I'm going to take a personal opportunity to thank my mother, who is 96 years old, or 96 years young, and hopefully watching this Zoom from her apartment in Yerushalayim, and thank her and say, I love you, Mommy. But both of my wife and I have committed this to our lives, and we do the same with our children and our grandchildren. Specific things is we tell the kids, you want to make contributions to your school, to your shul, to other places, we will match them and help you give more. And not if they come to us and say, make a contribution just to the school. We require them to give. Through one of our foundations, we took a sum of money and gave it to our 3 kids and said, assume Mommy and I are not living now. You're running this foundation. How are you going to decide what to do with the money and what institutions to give it to? And I'm very proud with what they chose and how they did it. And Amy, it was 100% Jewish and Israel. Don't worry.
I love that. When I told Stanley about the Jewish Future Pledge, he said 50% is not enough.
Absolutely.
And you know, setting up the foundation at Federation and having the kids be a signer on that, and asking the kids to give to organizations that we're involved when we have special fundraisers or special events. I don't have a problem asking our kids to give to that. And they do, and they're involved in their communities and everything they do. But with our grandchildren, it goes even further. When we give them money for their birthday, we also give them extra money and say, okay, this money is for you to give to tzedakah. You understand, and you know, they've written letters to organizations and have had feedback, and it gets them involved, and it's a learning tool and very good. when they've had reading contests in school and they ask to be paid a couple of groshim per page, we say, okay, but we'll match it. With that match, we travel with our kids a lot before COVID-19, at least twice a year, but wherever we go, we look at the Jewish institutions in that community. A year ago, we were in Greece for Pesach, and we went to one of the day schools. None of my kids speak Greek. They speak English, Hebrew, one set speaks Spanish. But they got along with the kids. There's just a bonding. We are all one people. And afterwards, when we asked them, you know, we went to the Olympics, we were away for Pesach, we had a great time of the trip. It was visiting the day school. So this is the kind of education that you have to give and work with your children. And you can't on. You have to do it today with them.
Stanley, it's beautiful. And one of the things that you said, I want to pick up on, and that's we as Jews are in a very unique position. We're both a faith and a people. When God made his covenant with Abraham, he said, I will make of you a great people, not a great religion. I will make of you a great people. So we have that special bond that we also need to transmit, that we're a faith and we're a people at the same time, and that we need to take care of each other. And I know Jonathan mentioned Yad Sarah. So at this point, I'd like Adele to just come in for a second and talk about the things, some of the few things that Yad Sarah is doing in regard to this. All right, Adele, we can't hear you.
You can hear me?
Now
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank the panelists for all these important comments, and to tell you a little bit about how Yad Sarah has had some intersection with everything that the panelists are doing. Very proud to be one of the recipients of Daily Giving, and the organization has received about $10,000 from Daily Giving in the past year, which goes a long way towards buying wheelchairs and canes and crutches and oxygen concentrators that make it possible for people to live at home and in the community safely and to recover and to regain their strength and good health. We're also thrilled to have this partnership with the Miami Jewish Federation, where we have a grant that goes to support the program in Yerucham that Stanley mentioned earlier. And this is a grant in perpetuity, and it means that we're going to be connected to the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, you know, until the Messiah comes. So that's a beautiful thing. So we're grateful to the donors of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation for making this possible. And as Amy and I talked earlier, plan giving and legacy giving is a particular area of interest of mine. This is something that has enabled Yad Sarah to raise considerable sums of money that help to support the programs and services that make it possible for people to remain at home and in the community. In terms of what the organization has done for COVID relief, as soon as this became an issue, Yad Sarah stepped up and developed a coronavirus hotline where they made the commitment to deliver equipment within 24 hours to anyone who needed it. There was a long shopping list of oxygen concentrators, pulse oximeters, wheelchairs, hospital beds. As many of you know, just like here in the United States, where hospitals were emptying the wards to make room for coronavirus patients, they were doing so in Israel as well. And that's where Yad Sarah came in to make sure that people could go home from the hospital and recover or receive palliative care and remain safe and have the kind of support that they needed. And it's our donors that made this possible. So we're incredibly grateful for that. We think that our donors have made it possible for all the outstanding professionals and the unbelievably dedicated volunteers to do the work that they've done for Yad Sarah. And we're particularly grateful to an anonymous foundation for a major gift that really was a huge boost to our efforts and enabled Yad Sarah Jerusalem to acquire the kind of equipment that is needed to help sustain lives and to save lives.
Don't forget, Barry,
Go ahead,
Yad
Stan.
Sarah is a terrific place to have a bar or bat mitzvah. My grandson had his bar mitzvah in the shul there at Yad Sarah,
Mhm.
and it took all of his class, and they all made, what are those, not canes, the things that,
Wheelchairs.
no, the
Wheelchairs.
things that
Walkers.
go under your
They
arms.
assemble walkers.
Walkers,
They-
they made walkers, they made crutches,
Right.
and things like that. And this is terrific, and this
That's
is
true,
what they're there
Stanley.
for, and it's a
Right.
fun.
My
What's
family had the
important
same
about that
opportunities, Stan.
experience is that it makes it very concrete, especially for children, although people of all ages really like it, but it makes it very concrete about really what's going on in this building. And I think, as you know, and many of our listeners know, the equipment lending service is Yad Sarah's biggest program. We have over 110 branches in Israel, in every community. And the equipment gets lent out and returned, and it makes it possible for people of every means to have this equipment available.
That's great. And we're all proud to be supporters of Yad Sarah. Stan, you mentioned Passover before, and there's a very interesting verse in the Dayenu that has always troubled me. It said, if God would have taken us to Sinai and not given us the Torah, Dayenu, that would have been enough. And I'm saying to myself, really? Take us to an insignificant mountain in a barren desert? That would have been enough? So if we look a little further, we found that when the Jews were about to receive the Torah, they were Am Echad B'Lev Echad. They were one nation with one heart. In other words, they weren't 12 tribes, they were one tribe. They weren't Orthodox, conservative, or Reform. They were one Jewish people working together. And because of that unity, which is something that all of us through our organizations and at a very difficult time strive for, because of that unity, Dayenu, it would have been enough. I'd like to ask all of you as Jewish communal leaders, philanthropists, what message of hope can you share with us at this time? Amy, let me start with you.
Okay. First of all, we're an incredible people. Not only have we always survived, we always thrived. A friend of mine told me something recently that sticks with me a lot. Hitler thought he buried the Jews, but he didn't realize we were seeds. No matter what happens, we're going to be all right.
Good. Jonathan?
Yeah, I think that, as a physician, I see people every day, and it's amazing. I think as Jews, it's something we take for granted is community. People, sometimes I'll ask a patient, I'm a chiropractor, so I can't prescribe medication. So I might ask, hey, can you ask your doctor to prescribe one particular drug? Or can you ask, do you have a friend or a relative who could write you a prescription? And they look at me like I have 7 eyes. Like, no, I don't have a friend or relative. There's a doctor that could write me a prescription. And meanwhile, like I could get, I could call up 15 doctors in 5 minutes and get each one of them to write a prescription. That's just a small example of what we don't, I think we sometimes take for granted the power of community. We all live in communities, and I think no one steps up more than Jews in times of crisis, in times of happiness, in times of sadness. And I think that's something very, very special, both on the philanthropic level and just in general, that it's just amazing to be Jewish, no matter where you are.
Beautiful. Stan?
I would say,
All right, Stan, you want to take it?
What it'll look like, we first have to get through where we are now. And what my co-panelists said we are one person. We are together in this. This is why Federation exists, to be able to help us get through this. Things will change afterwards, but one thing will not change. We will still be, as you said, Am Echad B'Lev Echad. We will still be connected, and this will help us be connected even more. Because if I've had a meeting down at Federation or met a congresswoman in Seattle, I wouldn't fly all that way, or somebody couldn't come to leave their office for an hour to come to an hour meeting. With the inventive Zoom, it is helping us become closer together, even though we're further apart. The fact that we're having this webinar and bringing 100, 200 people together to hear about this is phenomenal, and it's going to continue afterwards. Israel and the Jewish people have always strived for tikkun olam, to make the world a better place. And you look at everything that's coming out of Israel, it is helping the world. We, the Jewish people, are helping it. My prayer is that the vaccine and the antibodies and the cure for COVID-19 will come from Israel. Wouldn't that be a great addition to the world and to show?
Can you hear its own?
Amen.
Amen. So, Adele, did you want to?
I had a couple of thoughts. First of all, I've been with the organization, with Yad Sarah, now almost 17 years, which is like a dinosaur in this field. But I remember when I first started, I was a little overwhelmed. I would sit in the office by myself. I was the only staff person there at the time, and we haven't grown that much more in terms of staffing. But and I thought, wow, there are 8 million people in Israel, and at that time, Yad Sarah was helping 400,000 of them every year, and they're all depending on me. And then slowly I realized that the mail would arrive, with people would send in checks, or people would call on the phone and make gifts, and that I had this entire universe of donors and friends of the organization to depend on, that it wasn't all on me, to provide this, that we have over 20,000 active donors now to Friends of Yad Sarah, who make it possible for us to provide the kind of care that the people of Israel need. And for COVID-19, we had a very, I'm going to say, a very assertive campaign. We immediately set out with an urgent mailgram to some of our best donors to ask people for a special gift to support this crisis. We reached out to people via social media, via email. We had a crowdfunding campaign through charity which had a very generous matching gift component. And that was, all those features enabled us to come close to meeting the needs of the people of Israel during this crisis. So we're very grateful to everyone and anyone who has participated.
Thank you. To start to close a little bit, this could have been a very difficult discussion, but it's been a very uplifting discussion, truly uplifting, primarily due to my 3 new friends, our 3 panelists today, Amy, Jonathan, and Stanley, for bringing both your own experiences and your wisdom, to what we're going through today. I want to thank everybody in the audience for joining us. I want to thank Adele and also Meira for their part behind the scenes. And I want to leave with 2 thoughts. The first is that we spoke mostly today about giving in Israel. And there are 2 seas in Israel, 2 main bodies of water. There's the Sea of Galilee and there's the Dead Sea. And what's the difference between the 2? In the Sea of Galilee, water comes in from the Hermon Mountains and goes out through the Jordan River. Suddenly it's given and taken. In the Dead Sea, Something is taken but never given, and that's why it's dead. The Hebrew word forgive is natan, and natan is spelled the same way, forward and backward. When you give, you receive as well. When you both take and give at the same time, you're a living body. Secondly, there was the anonymous poet who once wrote, "When I searched for myself, I could not find me. And when I searched for my God, I could not find thee. But when I searched for others, I found all three." When we search for others to help through Yad Sarah, through the Miami Federation, through other great organizations, I promise you, you will find your inner self, you will discover your spiritual compass, and you will be fulfilling what Stanley said is the most beautiful of all the 613 commandments, l'taken olam, to repair this world and make it a better, a safer, and a healthier place in which to live. So everyone, be safe and be optimistic, and let's be there for each other in order to strengthen each other. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jonathan, Adele, Meira. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Adele. Thank you, Meira. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jonathan. It's really nice to be able to have the same passion as everybody else on this panel. I can't hear you, Barry. You're on mute.
All right, now I'm on unmute, I hope.
Okay, and I want to
Okay.
introduce you to
No.
my wife.
I was echoing the same thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, guys. This was great. You're all awesome. You did a great job.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you guys. I got to run, okay?
Okay,
Okay,
take care.
bye-bye.
Amy, I look forward to meeting you down here in Miami.
100%.
All right.
But
And I look forward to taking you to the Mills, Amy.
That definitely. If you're in
Okay,
Philly,
remember, we're still we're still live. So if you have personal things, you might
Okay.
want to take that offline.
All right, shalom,
Take care.
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Lenore.
You were terrific, just because you hijacked 70% of the